So magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Hello, good day everyone. I am Abueg Meltrick I from BSC 4-5. So today we're going to discuss the historical timeline of cybercrime. But first is there's a lot of historical events that transpired in the past decades in cybercrime, but I've only included those I think the major events that happened in the cybercrime. So let's start. But first, let us discuss the contents of our discussion. First is to know the historical timeline of cybercrime. Number 2 is to learn the historical timeline of cybercrime here in the Philippines. Number 3 is to discuss the significance of each historical timeline. Number 4 is to identify notable personalities and their contribution to cybercrime. Fifth is to determine the laws related to cybercrime. So let's start in the pre-internet era before 1960s. So in 1834, French telegraph system. This incident involves two bankers, the Blanc brothers, who manipulated the system to gain financial advantage. So this is considered as the first or the very first cyber attack that happens in the history of cybercrime. In 1834, this involves the two bank robbers, the Blanc brothers. So next is in 1878, the early telephone calls. So this involves a group of curious boys who were working as telephone operators and began eavesdropping on calls and misdirecting telephone connections for their amusement. So this includes two young boys who is curious. Na-curious sila sa telephone na ginawa ni Alexander Graham Bell. So ginawa nila yun for their amusement kasi nga curious sila kasi dati pa yun. Inosente pa tayo sa mga ganong bagay dati. So these actions disrupted the communication and demonstrated vulnerabilities in the telephone exchange system. So next is in 1957. So medyo mabilis tayo kasi pinapahapyawan natin sila lahat kasi marami to. And we have only limited time. So in 1957, Joe Ingrisha. So Joey Babos was nickname of Joe Ingrisha Jr., a phone freak. So when we say phone freak, it is a term, pinagsamang term ng freaking and combines with phone, or freaking combines with phone, and freaking highlighting the mix of fascination of hacking spirits. So yung mga phone freakers kasi dati is nalaman nila na ginagamitan yung telephone systems noon ng mga tones for controlling calls. And itong si Joe Ingrisha, he is a 7-year-old blind boy with the perfect pitch. He discovers a high pitch tone on a phone line and begins whistling a frequency of 2,600 Hz. So he is known for his unique ability to manipulate telephone system by whistling specific note. Kasi sabi nga natin is the phone system before is use specific frequencies for internal control. So ginagaya niya, minimimic niya yung frequency, 2,600 Hz yun. Ginagaya niya yun para magkaroon siya ng free or unlimited telephone calls. Kasi dati nga, yung phone system is ginagamitan lang siya ng specific tone, frequencies for internal controls that allows him to interact the phone network, or kumbaga nga naka-unli call na siya kapag ginaya niyon. So para ma-anticipate nyo kung ano yung ginagawa ni Joe Ingrisha na pag-mimimic ng phone, meron akong ipapakita sa inyo yung video na sagit lang. Ito. Yan. Ay, hindi pa naman.
If you had perfect pitch like blind phone freak Joe Ingrisha, you could whistle calls through the network.
So the importance of this era is that it opens the eyes of many individuals to be aware from this phenomena. So, syempre, bago-bago pa lang ang lahat sa technology, so that this era is very important for them to be aware na may ganito palang mga phenomena na nangyayari. So, let us move on sa next era, which is the foundational cybercrime era that happens within 1960s to 80s. So in 1969, we have this, what we call the rabbit virus, happens in Washington Computer Center. So this virus occurs when you downloaded the file with the virus. It will replicate a numerous file of itself in a very fast manner. That's why it was called rabbit virus. Kapag dinownload mo tong file na to na may virus, is magre-replicate siya ng napakaraming file na umaabot na magkakos sa dysfunctioning of the system ng computer mo. This caused a lot of computers way back before to be paralyzed due to the numerous copies of the file. So next is si Kevin Mitnick. Kevin Mitnick. So this happens in 1970 to 1995, Kevin Mitnick. So, magdi-discuss naman din to ng ibang mga reporters. So, papahapiwan lang natin ng brief background ni Kevin Mitnick. So, Kevin Mitnick is considered as the most wanted hacker in the US who penetrates lang naman sa ilang kilalang network company gaya ng Motorola or Nokia. So, those companies are known for its highest security and most guarded network. But Kevin Mitnick is easily penetrated. That's why they called him as the most dangerous and the most wanted cybercriminal during his era. So imagine, Nokia and Motorola yung napasok na dati na na-penetrate niya, na na-hack ni Kevin Mitnick, kaya nga siya nabansagang most dangerous and most wanted hacker in the US way back in his era. So next is in 1981 is the cybercrime conviction. So it occurs in cybercrime conviction. It is Ian Murphy, also known as Captain Zap. And take note guys that he is known as the first person to be convicted on the cybercrime. Siya yung pinakaunang na-convict in violation sa cybercrime. Noong 1981, itong si Ian Murphy, also known as Captain Zap. So next is in 1982, the logic bomb. So the logic bomb occurs when CIA allowed the Siberian Soviet Union to steal software designed for pipeline management. So inallow ng CIA na bumili or magnakaw yung Siberian Soviet Union na magkaroon sila ng software designed for pipeline management, pero lingid sa kaalaman nila it is being controlled by the CIA na by putting malicious code nakalagay diyan, by embedding malicious code into the control system purchased by the Soviet Union. So yung mga ninakaw or yung mga biniling software ng mga Soviet Union is hindi nila alam is may naka-embed doon na malicious code na pwedeng that causes massive explosion when it is being triggered. So next is si Kevin Paulsen. Si Robert Morris or the Morris worm. So madidiscuss naman to ng ibang reporter, so papahapiawan lang din natin ulit. So in 1988, the Morris worm is being born. So alam na naman natin yung Morris worm, di ba? So we all know Morris worm, and it is being created by Robert Morris. And take note guys, the Morris worm is recorded as the first worm virus to be created by Robert Tapan Morris. So next is Kevin Paulsen. Ito madidiscuss nito ng mga reporters natin. So papahapiawan lang natin ulit. So Kevin Paulsen is also known as Dark Dante. So law enforcement is tinatawag din siyang the Hannibal Lecter of computer crime. He gained his popularity or recognition for hacking the LA Radios KIIS FM phone line. So hinak niya tong radio station na to. That's why he gained his popularity and recognition. So next is the 1989, the Trojan Horse software. So in Trojan Horse software, a diskette claiming to contain a database of AIDS information is mailed to numerous researchers and subscribers to UK Computer Magazine. So diskette in today's era is para siyang USB or flash drive. It is being inserted to a diskette is like a flash drive in today's era. It was being inserted sa loob ng computer. Here, ang nangyari dito is the Trojan Horse virus is being inserted to that diskette. Kunyari ito yung diskette, nandito nakalagay yung Trojan Horse virus, and it was being mailed sa mga researchers and without knowing na yung mga diskette na yun is naglalaman ng mga virus such as tong Trojan Horse virus. Pag sinabi kasi natin Trojan Horse, it is a type of malicious code or software that looks like legitimate but can take control of the user's computer. So the importance naman of this era, the foundational cybercrime era, is that this era is a foundational basis for the growing and developing cybercrimes laws na nakikita natin ngayon. So itong era na to daw is importante kasi ito yung naging foundational support or basis ng mga cybercrime laws na nakikita natin ngayon, lalo na sa ibang state. So the next era is the early internet cybercrime era that happens in 1990s. First is the Melissa virus. The Melissa virus is named after is named after the stripper from Florida by Smith, the creator of this virus. So this virus, the Melissa virus, is made by David Lee Smith, and it was being named after sa pangalan ng isang, sabihin na natin is prostitute na Melissa. So this virus occurs by sending messages on the first 50 contacts in their address book. So lahat ng recipient na makakatanggap ng virus na ito is makakatanggap yung first 50 contacts nila ng ganito ring virus, na parang I love you virus din. Kaso mga kaibahan sa I love you virus is lahat ng contact is talagang makakatanggap ng virus, kaya mas mabilis yung pagkalat nun. Kaysa dito kay Melissa virus na first 50 contacts lang yung mabibigyan, but still it is very disruptive pa rin. Or they uses the enticing name or nakakapangikayat yung nilalagay na sa attachment, gaya din sa strategy ng I love you virus. Kaya dito sa Melissa virus naman, ang ginagamit dito is sexy JPEG, naked wipe, so that ma-entice yung mga pinasahang buksan para buksan yung attachment. Si Melissa virus naman is not purposely to extract money gaya ng ibang virus, as it is made to disrupt computers. So we have here the Jonathan James. So Jonathan James is genius who hacked into NASA and Pentagon when he was 15 years old. So NASA and Pentagon is one of the most secured and guarded institution or organization sa ibang bansa, pero at the age of 15 years old is nahack niya yun. So the importance of this era marks a significant effect on how viruses and those breaches affects the industries that leads to global action for cybercrime. So the fourth era is the rise of cybercrime eras that happens in through Mafia Boys in Michael Kelsey. So Michael Kelsey manages to perform all these acts, yung pag-breach and pag-hack sa major websites ng Amazon, CNN, and eBay, and Yahoo. So at the age of 15, parang si Jonathan James is nagawa niya ring i-hack itong mga major companies na ito, and itong mga Amazon is katulad din, di ba? At the age of 15, at the very young age, is nagagawa niya itong mga bagay na ito. Since alam din naman nila na kapag nahuli sila is medyo mas maliit yung punishment or penalty sa kanila kumpara sa mga grown-ups, they're juveniles. So the last era is the global cyber threat era that happens in 2010s up to the present. So in the year 2010, the Stuxnet worm arise. So the Stuxnet worm has been called as the world's first digital weapon. So this is designed to cause physical damage to equipment controlled by the computers. So next is in 2017, the WannaCry virus. So this virus is being called WannaCry because of the emotional and financial distress it causes to its victims, since this virus causes locks thousands of organizations and businesses across 150 countries. 150 countries yung apektuhan sa virus na ito, and countries of their systems demanding a ransom of $300 per month to restore access. So para ma-restore daw yung access is hinihingan sila ng ransom na $300, biro I mean 15,000, pero hindi pa yun sure na maayos yung access mo sa computer mo kapag nagbigay ka ng ransom. So ito yung mga types ng mga viruses na talagang hindi lang disruptive, is this purpose is to extract money rin. So the importance of this era highlights the need for advanced cybersecurity strategies and international cooperation and ongoing legal evolution to address the cybercrime threats affecting to global stability. So lipat naman tayo sa Philippines, sa historical timeline of cybercrime in the Philippines. So dito sa bandang to is papahaba lang natin, since pandagdag lang naman to para lang sa kaalaman nating lahat. So in the year 2000, when the E-Commerce Act of 2000 is being made, it was being passed in June 2000. However, since maraming kulang sa batas na ito, itong E-Commerce Act is, we can't really say it is a cybercrime law, since it is not enough to incriminate such crimes or criminals or cyber criminals that we have now. So kung ikukumpara natin yung batas na ito sa mga nakukumit na cyber crime ngayon, is hindi sapat itong batas na to. Na kahit nga si Onel de Guzman, na creator ng I Love You virus, is hindi nakulong under this law, especially is nagawa niya kasi yung virus is bago sabasa itong batas na to, kasi nga sinusunod natin yung principle of prospectivity. Number 2 is the first cybercrime conviction, JJ Marina Hiner, was the first person convicted of hacking the Philippines for defacing the government website. So number 3 is in 2007, the cybercrime law draft. Number 3 is the 2007 is the cybercrime law drafting. It is the effort begun to draft the Cybercrime Prevention Acts. So ito na yung pagdadraft ng batas na RA 10175 na nagagamit natin ngayon. Is nangyari siya noong 2007. And number 4 is the RA 10173 or the Data Privacy Act of 2012. So this law complements the RA 8792 rather, or the E-Commerce Act by addressing the data protection issues in online digital transaction. And the last one is in 2012 is naipasa na yung batas ng Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. So dito pa lang tayo nagkaroon ng formal na batas for cybercrime na hanggang ngayon is nagagamit natin. So yun lamang po para sa ating discussion ngayong araw. And bago po tayo maghiwa-hiwalay, ako po ay mag-iwan ng isang Bible verse. Is Romans 8:28, that all things work together for the good of those who love God, who have been called according to His purpose. So, thank you po ulit and good day. God bless.